guys, I share commands today in Raid Shadow Legends. Welcome to the video. Another champion guide for you guys today. Connor Lutt says, can you do a guide on Hotatsu, one of my favorite epic champions? He says, one of my first epic pulls. Congratulations. Now I'm thinking about building him. Want to see how good he is? Well, he's actually really solid here. Actually, in the last video, or I think the Dark Kale video, I actually forgot. But one of the previous videos here on the channel, I asked you guys if you thought it was interesting to see when these champions were introduced in the game, like alongside which other champions, kind of a walk back into the nostalgic history of Raid Shadow Legends. And almost unanimously, you guys were like, yeah, I actually find that interesting as well. So I'm not the only weirdo out there. So yeah, he was released in the game back in 2021, in May of 2021. So going on his 2-year anniversary, he was released the same day as Geomancer, Hillier, Rule, Gorlos, Hotatsu, obviously, Shani, Genbo, Birigani, Marauder, and Vagabond. Ooh, Vagabond, man. So there you have it, guys. This is a pretty dang good class, you know? This is, again, I said this the last time that we mentioned this, but I feel like they don't release this many quality epics together anymore. Like, I haven't seen this in a while. Am I imagining this? Or is that true? But obviously getting Geomancer, you know, I mean, I guess it's Geomancer, Genbo, Burengiri, Shani, Hotatsu, Gorlos, like they're all pretty dang solid. Anyway, Hotatsu, what does he do? So on his A, he's a defense-based champion. His base defense is pretty solid, 13, actually above average, 1376. He's got some speed, a decent amount, nothing to write home about. And his HP, again, is average to, at best. He has defense in all battles at 25%. It's a great aura to have. It puts him in the same conversation as like a Tyrell, but he has a few things that Tyrell doesn't have, which is really nice as well. Conversely, Tyrell has some things that he doesn't have either. Red River is A1, does take 9 books, which is quite a bummer. Has a 60% chance if you book it out to land that leech for 2 turns. That's going to give your team a bunch of heals, especially against like Demon Lord, as we mentioned. This is a very valuable A1. It's only 60%, but 60% still is pretty solid. When you get that leech on there for 2 turns, obviously it will last for, well, 2 turns. Wow, you don't get that hard-hitting analysis on just any champion guide channel, guys. So you have that leech that's going to heal by 18% of the damage dealt. It's a nice heal, kind of a passive heal, if you will, to go along with a great kit. On his rushing death is A2. It's an AoE. 80% chance, 85 with Sniper, replacing a decrease attack on a 3-turn cooldown. Another great, instrumental buff to have on your team, or debuff to have on your team for Clan Boss if you're not going with an unkillable comp. Oni Icon is A3, 3-turn cooldown, increased defense, and a big version of a continuous heal for 1 turn on all allies. So a good continuous heal and increased defense. It puts him in a conversation with only about 5 or so other epic champions who have that increased defense on a 3-turn cooldown, and he's also bringing the continuous heal. So really solid ability. And then remove a random debuff from this champion at the start of each turn. Remove the CC debuffs first, prioritize. This is on a 3-turn cooldown, but it's a really nice passive to have in addition to a very robust kit. We already mentioned the aura defense in all battles, so you can use it, obviously, everywhere. So very good support champion. Faction Wars, certainly. Demon Lord, absolutely. I kind of agree with most of these. Like dungeons, he's really good support in dungeons. I agree with the Fire Knight rating. He only has that single hitter on the A1. He has no multi-hitters. Really not bringing anything in the skill set that would, lead you to believe, other than just a little bit of healage and stuff, that he's going to be great for Fire Knight. But I think this dude is amazing in the other dungeons, specifically Ice Golem's Peak, because he has great support when you get to that hard-hitting Ice Golem. Let me go ahead and show you how I have him built, guys, before we jump into the dungeon or 2 with this champion. So I have Faction Wars open right now. I really want to show you him in Ice Golem. I probably want to show you the entire run, but I will show you him against the Ice Golem and how he's able to keep everybody alive. And speaking of keeping everybody alive, I actually like this dude in a Guardian set. In a Guardian set, he's going to be absorbing 10% of all damage dealt to all allied champions. So it's a little bit more support from an already great support champion, right? He's bringing a lot of utility to the team. This is great for Doom Tower. This is fantastic for a variety of Doom Tower bosses or any dungeon. You just have to be careful because he's taking in a lot of extra damage. It does add up, but to mitigate that, we're healing by 10% every turn. Damage absorbed is not reduced by defense. I put a speed set on him as well because, frankly, this build is pretty slow. I would like to have him quite a bit faster, but the rest of the build, I'm pretty pleased with. So in an ideal world, we have him, closer to 200 speed, maybe even faster. It all depends on where you are on your account, of course. But the nice thing about Guardian is it's going to work, no matter where his turn is, right? He's always going to be absorbing 10% of damage. There's no cooldown or anything off the Guardian set. I actually think that Guardian sets generally are underutilized by the raid community. Not a lot of people farm Griffin for that Guardian gear, and I think that it's actually a really, really solid set. That damage mitigation all the time is really massive. Think about it this way. In a Guardian set, I'm getting the heal 10% every turn, which is great, and that 10% damage, that's even better than that's double the value, if you will, of a tier 6 mastery, which is Bulwark. Damage all allies receive reduced by 5%, right? And this champion will receive that damage instead. So if you wanted to stack up to 15% damage mitigation, you could come down and pick up that tier 6 Bulwark. Since we're here anyway, let's look at the masteries that I went with on this champion. We mentioned how valuable Sniper can be, getting that decreased attack, and the Leech on the A1, both up to an 85% chance and a 65% chance respectively. Also, Master Hexer, extend the duration of the decreased attack and the Leech. And then I went for some damage on this champion, right? I picked up Life Drinker. Getting a little bit more healage is always a good thing, right? Especially when we're taking the extra damage from that Guardian gear. And I went with War Master as well because I want to get a little bit of damage, against bosses specifically from this champion, because he's not going to be putting out anything crazy in terms of his overall damage. If we look really quickly at his multipliers here, by the way, hellhades.com gives him a 4-star rating. You can see the areas in each dungeon. Again, on these Doom Tower bosses, you'll see the scores are pretty low here. Book value, I agree with. He's really a champion you want to book, especially for that increased defense, continue heal on the A2, right? But I would say for most Doom Tower areas, right, including floors, if you need a great support, look no further. You've got one, right? Unless you have, obviously a better uber legendary option. But if you look at his multipliers, he's got a 3.2 on the A1, no damage, obviously, on the A3. I misspoke, by the way, earlier. I said that the increased defense and continuous heal with the A2, it's the A3. Either way, no damage on that ability, but he does have a 4, which is a strong rating on the defense on the A2, so I guess this guy could put out a little bit of damage if you wanted to build him that way. Me personally, sure, I did go with the offense tree and support tree, as you guys can obviously see here. However, I'm prioritizing keeping my team alive with this champion. He's bringing the decreased attack, he's bringing the heals and the Leech, he's bringing the continuous heals and the increased defense. So I just want to make sure that we're able to make him an absolute carry for our teams, right? However, with that being said, if I was running him in Demon Lord, like an old school Demon Lord team, with that defensive aura, I probably would try to maximize that damage a little bit more, probably work to get that crit rate at least up to 100%, okay? So in terms of his gear, what we have on him right now, we have HP on the banner. His HP at 17.5 doesn't scale quite as well as his defense, obviously, so we opted to go HP, HP, HP on the ring, the amulet, and the banner, and then we went with defense percentage on the gauntlets and the chest. So defense percentage gear on the artifacts and HP flat stats on all of our accessories on this champion. Now, keep in mind, we do need that accuracy depending on where you have him, which stage of the dungeon. We do need that accuracy both for the A1 and the A2, so we need to make sure sometimes we'll have to go accuracy on the banner on this champion just to ensure it's at the level that's going to be landing those debuffs wherever we're using this champion. Keep in mind, my accuracy is a little bit low at around 240, 250-ish, but I do have the accuracy from Charge Focus and from Swarm Smiter that obviously is not factored in there. Okay. Going back to the build here, we have speed on the boots finishing up here, and we have, as I mentioned, defense percentage. And, oh, look at that. A quad roll of accuracy. I didn't even realize that we had that on this dude right now. I don't have that many quad roll accuracy gear. Do you guys have any quad rolls on any of your gear? Furthermore, do you have any quad roll speed gear? I have one piece. Isn't that crazy? I feel like I've been playing this game forever. So much artifact farming, and I have one quad roll speed, and it's on a weapon. It's on a weapon, a perception weapon. I don't know who I have it on right now, but somebody who I use a lot. Anyways, those are the stats, guys. Let's go ahead and run this dude. The cool thing is you could even run him in the arena in like the early and the mid game, especially if you're trying to build like maybe one of your first or I guess intermediary go second teams, right? Okay, let's go ahead and you can put him in like stone skin to protect your team. He's not, you know, known for being an arena champion. I consider him mostly PvE, but you could utilize him if you wanted to have some fun. All right, guys, let's go ahead and jump into the Ice Golem's Peak. Man, I put him with some of my faves, right? I got Hotatsu in the lead for that defensive aura, and then I have Tagore, I have Miscreated Monster, I have Geomancer. They were born the same day. Isn't that cute? And then I have Akemtum, one of my absolute faves. I mean, all these champions are some of my favorite epics in the entire game. So on this team, it's going to be basically one Reviver in Tagore, and then we have, this is Ice Golem 25, by the way. We have support champion Hotatsu and Miscreated Monster. I love it because Hotatsu is going to be bringing the heals, going to be bringing the increased defense, the leech. Miscreated Monster is going to be bringing the ally protect and the shield. So we got like everything that we need. Only thing we're really missing is a cleanser and a strengthen buff, but this is going to be just fine. Then we have two really great damage dealers in Geomancer and Akemtum, and Tagore can put out some damage himself as well. One of my favorite champions out there. So let me go ahead, and the waves will not be an issue for this team, but it's not a seer team after all, so we're not going to absolutely decimate them. It will take a couple minutes to get to the Ice Golem, so I'll be right back. All right, guys, here we are at the Ice Golem, Colossus himself. Let's see what we can do here. So we apply the HP burn vis-a-vis Geomancer on Colossus. We come in with the A1, Phantom Touch, as you can see, is the blessing. We haven't spoken about blessings. I think I would go Grim Resolve. I don't have him awakened, Hotatsu that is, but I think that would be my choice. Personally, we come in here, and again, you're going to see that Akemtum and Geo are able to really do a good job keeping this team alive. When that big, heavy-hitting AoE attack comes in, he's going to have that ally protection vis-a-vis his Guardian Gear trigger. You'll see that text below Hotatsu right in the center of the team there. So not only is he the aura lead, he's also bringing so much. Look, he got down pretty low on that damage. That's eating up, of course, 10% of that damage from every other champion. Look at Akemtum. He would have died had not we had that Guardian Gear on. So again, it's difficult on a champion like Hotatsu. We mentioned this with a lot of champions here on the channel, right? But it's difficult when you look at him at the end of the stats sheet, so to speak, right? To extrapolate, his entire value that he's adding to the team. There's a lot that doesn't show up at the end of the day, of course, between the leech, the increased defense. I mean, a lot of what he brings to the table, the decreased attack, that damage mitigation, the Guardian Gear in this case, and that damage mitigation. I do want to draw your attention because we can't get through this video without talking about how incredible Tagore is. You will see at the end of this match, he's just absolutely insane in terms of the revival, the increased speed, the damage mitigation off his passive. I need to do a guide on Tagore, man. I can't stop drooling over this champion, dude. He is one of my favorites. And again, his kit synergizes so beautifully with Hotatsu. It's not like they overlap each other in any way, right? Increased speed, AoE revive, and then the increased defense, continuous heal. It's a beautiful combination. Hotatsu fits really well with a bunch of other support champions who already talked about the same thing with Miscreated Monster in Hotatsu, right? So this team is not going to win any speed running races, but keep in mind, they're all epics. Basically, all of these champions are fairly easy to sub with, right? I mean, we can go Vizixia Bode instead of, Miscreated Monster. We can go with, look at Tagore, by the way. Look at that. 800,000 damage and 1.2 million in heals from our Reviver. What? And then Miscreated Monster, in his own right, 900,000 damage, 3.8 million from Akemtum. I love Akemtum. 3.7 million from Geo. And Hotatsu was 722. Again, he's right up there with Tagore, Miscreated Monster, with only War Master and a little bit of crit rate in his kit, and then some heals to boot. And again, everything else that he's bringing to the table. I really, really like this champion. I'm going to show you guys a very quick, let's see, reflex crit rate. Nice crit rate, but Don't like those substats. Let me show you a really quick faction war run as well. I'm going to come back at you guys when we get to the Red Boss. Be right back. All right, guys, here we are at the Red Boss, the team that I have for you guys today. Here is Burengiri on the left. In the road, who just went right now is Michinaki, one of my favorite champions out there, and one of the only legendaries, or the only legendary on this particular squad. We have Hotatsu in the middle leading the team with his defensive aura. We have Gori, who is fun, if not the most meta champion in the world. And we have Taragi the Frog on this squad. So I gotta say that Burengiri has control down, right? Michinaki has all the debuffs and all the damage covered for this squad. And then we have that great support from Taragi the Frog, again playing a similar role to that miscreated monster Ally Protect alongside Hotatsu, who's a great champion. I don't have a clan boss team all fully assembled with Hotatsu, but you'd use him in a very similar fashion. I mean, you know what he's bringing to the table, right? Two of the more quintessential debuffs for clan boss unkillable or non-unkillable teams, right? And here we go. Hey, we got the speed. We get the speed glyph. I always get excited when I see the speed glyphs. As we mentioned, a lot of damage from Michinaki, but Hotatsu, again, just helping out a little bit in the damage and a lot in the support, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this guide. Unfortunately, no lore today on Hotatsu. I wish I knew this dude's backstory. He's really cool looking, though. I hope, again, you've enjoyed this. I hope you found it helpful. I love this dude in Guardian gear. Give it a shot, and if you have any champion guides requests, go ahead and let me know in the comments below, guys. Send us some positive vibes to end off the video, and as always, take care, guys.